this flexible plastic grid that you can get in the cross stitch section of Hobby Lobby as your main backing. We'll be covering the sharp edges and stuff, so there won't be any snagging. Here's a picture of Texas that I had used to put on that paper, which the paper came from just a box that was shipped. It's just a larger piece of paper. I redrew Texas onto it, cut it out, and then I cut the Texas shape out of the grid, which I had to piece together there at that one section, and you'll see how we reinforce that later. Here's a really soft material that you would use for like baby blankets. I'll be using that to cover the edging so there won't be any snagging. It'll be comfortable and soft. And then I use this felt. This is sheets of felt that I got at Hobby Lobby that have glitter on one side. And those will be used on top of this flexible plastic grid so that we have something to anchor our glued items to, and you can be able to sew through it. There's our mums we'll be using. We'll just pop off the heads of that bush of mums. I didn't buy the single heads because they were much more expensive. I just bought a bush and popped off the heads to be able to glue to that felt. And then I took this Christmas garland, and I'll be just clipping off little chunks of the tip of it to be sandwiching in between the mums so there's no gaps. And then the girl that wanted the mum wanted the feather edging, so I'll be gluing that feather edging on later. Here we have the ribbons laid out. We have all kinds of ribbons, the main focal point ribbons in the middle, and then your little shiny ribbons, textured ribbons, and all different sizes and textures, and you want them all laid out evenly on either side of your focal point ribbons. Okay, so here is the grid with the felt glued on the front, all cut out. And then you can see I reinforced that piece with popsicle sticks so that it won't fold or bend, but it's still flexible enough, but it will keep it shaped nicely. These materials are very durable, very lightweight and breathable, so it's a really nice way to anchor everything to without being too heavy. Now here are your ribbons. Like I said before, you'll want your focal ribbons in the middle. Like I had one ribbon that said senior, and then the class of 2017 on either side. So what you'll want to do is put your main ones that you want focused on in the middle, and then put an even spread of the other ribbons on either side so that there's balance, and it's a balance of texture, a balance of color, and then you'll see that they're spread out, but it's way too wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to gather the ribbons, but you need them all spread out in the exact order that you want them, because you'll want them to reach all the way from one edge to the other. Like in this Texas design, you'll want it to go all the way from one edge to the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a needle and thread, and you start by putting the needle up through one edge of the ribbon, because if you just do one little stitch, the ribbon could fold in half or start to curl. But if you put it up through one edge, down through somewhere close to the middle, and then back up through the middle, and then down through the opposite edge, that will keep the ribbon laid out flat. And don't cross your thread, just keep it a straight line so that you can move the ribbon back and forth and expand it or bunch it together as much as you need. And I'll show you how that works. We've got the thread through the ribbon now, and it's nice and flat, but we can move it farther out or closer together, and just stack them 2 and 3 ribbons at a time in bunches like that, and then just lay them flat on top of each other. Make sure they don't wrinkle on each other or start to curl. Have it loose enough to where they're flat. Now you can slide them up and down the thread according to the width of the design that you have on your frame. And so that's what I've done. I've bunched it close enough to where I can reach from edge to edge on the shape of Texas there. And I will be sewing it through the back of that frame onto the felt, so it's anchored nice and tight and the wind won't blow it away. You can't just pull it out. So here you can see I have sewed it with the white thread through the frame onto the felt. It's anchored. It's a straight line. Keep your line nice and straight so that the ribbons hang nice and straight, and it is very, very durable. It won't come off as if you had just glued it. This is sewn. So now I have put on the nice soft material on the back. I glued the material on. You can sew it if you choose, but I left a flap over the ribbons. And there's the material that I used, and I used the extra edging to fold over that edge. Now there's no edges that will snag or cut or scrape. So now it's all soft, and now we'll start gluing on our mums and all the little decorations that will go in between the mums to make it nice and full. I'll be gluing on this little feather edging later after I put the mums on so that the Texas shape shows up very well. Here's a webbed ribbon that I kind of just rolled in the shape of a rose that I'll be gluing there, and there's the little piece of the garland from the Christmas garland that I'll put in between the mums. So here they are all glued on there together, and there's the little webbed ribbon roses just kind of tucked in the edges here and there, and there's the pieces of garland in between that do not stick up above the mums, but they're just kind of there in between. So let's take a closer look, really close up, and I'll show you more of what I did. As you can see, it's very flexible, so it's nice and comfortable. But when you do bend it, I have glued down inside in between there, like the little tips to the garland from the Christmas tree, and these little silver flowers and bead with the pipe cleaner through it, and the netting ribbon rolled up like in a little rose shape, and you glue them deep down on the felt in between the mums so that your mums don't have gaps between them. Here's the little airplane I put on there. I put it on a pipe cleaner so that you could move it around, and the pipe cleaner is glued down to the felt down here, and that's because her boyfriend is going to be a pilot. We put the rose in the location of the school since this is the state of Texas. I also did little teddy bears. Supposed to be a little bear kissing her on the cheek. And I took hair from a Barbie doll.
So here's the poor little Barbie that I used. She's kind of old, and my niece was getting rid of her, so I thought, hey, I could use that hair on my little bear. So don't tell anybody, but she's bald right there. I clipped off a couple sections to use on my bear. So Barbie, just comb it down. Don't ever wear it in a ponytail again. Okay.
And cut it off and glued it on, just the tips onto the scalp of the bear. And I made the little miniature bear her own mum with jingle bells. This was just a this ribbon that I had used, kind of a folded ribbon, and I just rolled it in a circle and glued it there to the bear. And so put other little ribbons there too. Now these bears are not glued on. This is glued on. This is that kind of a webbing ribbon that I put in a little circle here. And then what I did is I put a nice thick thread that I sewed and anchored back through the back of the mum around his neck and around her neck, and then I sewed them together just in case you ever would want to clip that off and just have the bears separate somewhere else in her room or something later on. But on the edging we have feathers just glued on the edging there, and it's very comfortable, so pretty. And we have the little danglies down here. I do have little clusters of miniature jingle bells hanging down, and then across, and their picture, and just all the different textures of the ribbons that I chose to use. The ones I put their name on a little. Now this ribbon here was a wired ribbon, but when you clip it at the end, it's real easy just to pull the wire out on both sides and just use it as a real pretty ribbon for a different texture. Then these ribbons, of course, I crisscrossed and glued onto another flat ribbon so that they would stay nice and flat. But there's lots of different textures here of fun things. But I wanted you to see a close-up of the mum part of all the different things that I put in it. These are a real pretty sparkly bead that I put pipe cleaner through, a white pipe cleaner, and then glued the pipe cleaner to the felt backing and stick it out as far as you want. And the webbed ribbon and the fun little tips of the garland, and these little silver flowers I found in the wedding section. It's the same place that I found the part that I put on the neck. These were a pick in the wedding section of Hobby Lobby, and I just glued them to the little sleeve that I put around her neck ribbons so that it'll be nice and comfortable and match and be real pretty. So that's a close-up to kind of see what it looks like. The bears and the airplane for her pilot boyfriend. Well, jingle bells, because she wanted jingle bells. So there's lots of little jingle bells. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Some of these obviously I bought printed already at Hobby Lobby. The one by the picture says senior. But yeah, there's just lots of different ribbon textures. Shiny ones and plain ones and striped ones. The ribbon I sewed these on really tight, and then I have them, these little clips. So if she doesn't want to put it over her head, she could just unclip it and take it off. Or she could just slip it over her head, whichever is easier. You know how girls are with their hair. They want their hair to be perfect, and they get all ready and then they have to put something over their head. Now, because I have not tried this on her, the girl that this was made for, I tied the ribbons to their little clips with a good amount of tail on each one, just in case she needs to lengthen it. She can always shorten it too, but I just tied them once. So if you have access to the girl that this will be wearing, your mum, to be able to measure it, you could always sew, bring the ends up and sew that together so it stays, and then just clip off the excess. But I didn't want to do that until she tried it on. So it's nice and sturdy, it's well balanced, and but comfortable, very soft. So yeah, there's some good suggestions for you. So have fun. All right, the finished product. I thought I'd go ahead and model it for you and show you the approximate size. I'm about 5'5", and so this is about the size of what this mum would be on someone that's 5'5". So take a look. We have around the neck a soft little cushion there and a pretty little attachment. I wore a black skirt so you could see the ribbons better. And then you can lift this up. I left it not completely sewed down in case there were any other ribbons that you wanted to add that you found later on. You could continue to add on top and just sew them right in. But then after it's all done, you have that to cover it up and make it nice and soft and smooth. So.